Now it looks like RaceBot has started, and we will be seeing Kyle and Edo start shortly from here. Interesting to note, kyleprecise learning Mega Man 3, Magnet first, and Edo here going in top first, widely regarded as the more difficult route compared to Magnet first, but we'll see how she is able to do coming through this stage. There's one scary section at the end of Shadow Man. That is kind of what you will be seeing most of the time save in with the route. I believe Edo goes for more safe strats there, so we will see how both of these players do. kyleprecise here coming through Magnet stage very cleanly, and Edo coming through Top Man, a very mash-intensive stage. So we'll see how she does on this first cat. It's very difficult to get all your shots in at the top of your jump, but Edo getting through that first cat was a 4 jump, it looks like. Meanwhile, Kyle coming through the Yoku block section here. As Edo gets a nice second cat. So now coming into the boss fight for Kyle, there's a lot of important... It's important that you have high HP coming into this fight so that you're able to take damage boosts if Magnet does his magnetization pattern, which is actually the faster pattern. When Magnet Man jumps up like that, it's really unfortunate. It's kind of one of the points of RNG for the route, is that you have to wait for Magnet Man to come down because you can't shoot with Buster. And oh no, Edo, it looks like taking a death at the end of the top section there. But last top section is very difficult since you have to jump onto the next top and you don't have that big of a window to do it. So hopefully next time around be a little bit better for Edo here. Edo makes it through. Meanwhile, Kyle coming into Hardman, using Hardman's weakness at the beginning of the stage, as you can see here, switching to Rush Jet to kill the last bee to maintain ammo for the boss fight. Meanwhile, we see Edo here, unfortunately not getting the 3 cycle, it looks like. We want to mash into Top Man. It's very hard to get all those shots in. Meanwhile, Kyle here taking a damage boost through the first monkey. We see people typically mash that down, but if you're not as comfortable with your mashing and jumping up with Rush Coil, it's very difficult to do so, and it is just more beneficial to take the damage boost here. Here we see Kyle switching to Buster. You want to one-jump these Met Dozers. A very nice one-jump on the first one. The Met Dozer hitbox is very small. It's difficult to get all 3 shots in the small window that you have. And now Kyle here coming into the proto fight for Hardman, the Hardman one. As you can see, the platforms is a lot more different than the flat one of Shadow Man that you see on Edo's side, and the one in Magnet that you saw in Kyle's first stage. Kyle getting through very cleanly. Also, switching into Magnet in the Stomper room. You do that because you're able to slide underneath it without stopping after you switch. That's due to one of the pauses that when you warp out of a pause, everything else on the screen keeps going for 10 frames. So it just so happens that you can keep sliding after you menu out in that room. Kyle with a nice, clean fight there. As Edo goes through the dark room is one of the most difficult screens to do while in the game. There's a lot of precise shots that you had to do in it. And now for this route, another very difficult screen. Shadow is a very scary stage. If you go through the end of the stage and you have top. It looks like Edo opting to stay on Buster here. It takes 3 Buster shots to kill the Paracuse. And so there's a faster strat that you can do with top spin, but it is very dangerous to do, especially in a race setting. Can't fault Edo for trying to be very careful here. Getting through the last couple Paracuse here as Kyle is now in top man. Again, these dozers, really pesky. Kyle making it through. And so you'll see that Edo was mashing through in this stage, and we'll see Kyle switch to Magnet here. And he being able to mash through the cats here. You saw him actually switch on the ladder as well. So when you come out of a menu, you let go of ladders if you're held on to them. So just minor optimization there from Kyle. And ooh, unfortunately Edobean taking a death here in Shadow. It actually looks like she ran out of top energy as well, unfortunately, so going to have to either Buster or a Rush Coil shot. Looks like she's going for the Buster. We'll see if she's able to get through here. Shadow Man's pattern is really difficult to kind of keep track of, and it looks like Edobean is opting to take the death here into game over. When you run out of top energy, you run out pretty much if you're in iframes and you're in Shadow Man's hitbox or any other Robot Master's hitbox for that matter, and you are using your top spin for every frame that you're in the box, you lose 1 ammo, and you only have, the 28 ammo, so it's definitely an unfortunate circumstance there for Edo. And so we'll actually see both players in the same stage now as Kyle goes into Shadow Man after top here. So here, Edo coming through the dark room again. As Kyle making his way through. Coming into Proto here. Around 1 screen behind. So now Kyle entering the dark room as Edo is now leaving the dark room. She's gonna have to take it carefully again across these Paracuse. Meanwhile, Kyle going to be switching to Magnet here. So you can kind of see the benefit of the Magnet first route over the top first route in that you're able to shoot these magnets. There was a big ammo drop there that was kind of scary for Kyle. Make sure, okay. Yeah, you want to make sure you hold your jump through that. Getting a big ammo drop is always scary because sometimes you might see people let go of their jump input a little bit too early and then just fall to their death. But nicely done by Kyle. Yeah, we'll see how Edo does in this fight as well. And now we'll be seeing both players come into Gemini. Gemini, one of the scariest stages in all of Mega Man 3, really, with the first screen being incredibly grueling, as well as the last screen. The last screen known to be the downfall of many competitors, literally, and after falling into water from single block slides. We'll see if either of these players opt to do so. And so here we see Kyle coming through the first screen. Gemini getting a nice 1-up there. Showing that maybe this is Mega Man 5 after all. And again, you're going to see this distinction from the Magnet first route and the top first route is in the last part of Gemini screen, you'll be able to use Magnet, so you can actually kill some of the enemies using Magnet, which makes it a little bit easier. Kyle with a nice proto skip there. We'll see if he gets the zip here. Very nice zip. Meanwhile, Edo making it through the first screen here. Ooh, looks like she did not start her jump in time. You want to slide through the screen transition and then jump out of your slide afterwards. So we'll be seeing a little bit of an extra laggy screen here for Edo for the rest of the stage, as Kyle is now nearing the scariest section of this stage. Looking like he's opting to take it pretty safe these first couple blocks without any single block slides. The single block slides could definitely be very costly if you are uncomfortable with them or just something happens to one of your inputs. So nicely done by Kyle making it through that section. So here we see Kyle coming into the Gemini fight. It's pretty low health. If you're experienced in this fight, you hopefully can mitigate the damage that you take. And it looks like Kyle really close there with the final hit on Gemini. Looks like Gemini was getting pretty close to him. Meanwhile, Edo now coming into the last screen of Gemini Man stage. Now there is a phone number that you can call. Looks like Edo actually opting not to go for Rush Marine here, but opting to go through the top section without going. Looks like she might be switching to Marine here. Yeah, so switching to Rush Marine, not that much slower if you don't opt to single block slide, like what Kyle did was slide on the longer blocks, as we see some other people slide on all of the individual blocks. So it's very, very safe that way, but it also does not gain that much time over using Rush Marine effectively. Edo was kind of low health here, but with a few E-tanks, she should be fine coming into the boss fight. So Edo prepping for the Stomper here. Meanwhile, Kyle coming through Friedel stage. And Edo looks like taking a death here. Maybe to preserve the E-tanks. As Kyle now comes into the Needleman fight. Needleman fight, very scary. Prone to getting many Nadua lasers. But Kyle getting a pretty good pattern there. It didn't look like he got any high jumps from Needleman. You want Needleman to do not do any high jumps so that it's hard for you to get your Gemini lasers in on him. Edo with some sick jukes here at the end of Gemini Man stage. So something that you can actually do from that right side block is slide and then press and then pretty much just like get on the ladder. Slide and then like, you know, hold up to get to it. Edo taking a hit from the last Stomper here. And here we see Kyle coming into a Snake Man stage, a stage that you see extensive Rush Jet usage in. Getting a kind of bad pattern from that first Snake Mini boss. You want it can shoot between 2 and 4 shots. You really want it to not shoot that many. Edo, kind of low on health here. Dodging the laser. Oh wow, great fight by Edo. Managing to get through Gemini. Oof, that was a sick jump over the laser. And now we see Kyle coming up through the second Snake mini boss. It's very fortunate that you have Rush Jet, and Rush Jet is very versatile in this game compared to Mega Man 4 or 5, where it kind of just stays on its path and you're not able to fully control it. Mega Man 3, the first instance of Rush in the Mega Man series, being able to control him however you like. Also, we see the jumping that Kyle is going to be doing here actually preserves ammo. So he's able to go through this section, also removing Mega Man Sprite from the screen to reduce a little bit of lag as well. Now coming into the stake fight as Edo goes through the top screen of Needleman. Lots of enemies on the screen. It's really hard to get all your shots in on these enemies as they're able to get shot. So like when those mets open up. Kyle now going through Snake. And now onto his final Robot Master. It looks like he's gonna be shaping up for a pretty good 8 robot time so far. As Edo switches to Gemini Laser here, trying to get that last enemy. Looks like she's actually going to be trying to go for the E-Tank as well. So, if you don't kill the enemy, it's really hard to dodge all of its shots here. And with the extra E-Tank, though, it should be pretty safe for the rest of the 8 Robos for Edo. And now that Kyle is in Sparkman, we're going to see a lot of magnet usage throughout this stage, but also making sure that he preserves magnet for a singular lag block at the end of the stage. So in the next screen, we'll see Kyle actually get damage boosted by this Metdozer, so that it doesn't have to waste any magnet on it, because it's that closely routed so that you have enough magnet for the end of the stage. Edo getting a nice kill there on Needleman. I'm not sure if she got any of the dual lasers, unfortunately. I was not paying close attention. I believe she had a couple bank shots, but bank shots do not count as dual lasers. And Kyle coming through what at first glance seems like a scary screen, but is a relatively safe screen once you know the speed strats for it. Kyle in chat saying almost died on platforms trying to baby it. Also getting a very nice pattern from Sparkman. You ideally want 1 or 2 jumps there, since getting 3 or 4 makes it extremely painful for you to have to wait, and it's difficult for you to get up on that middle platform. Being up on the middle platform for warping out is faster than having Mega Man be on the side when you killed the Robot Master. So now Kyle coming into the dock stages, going to Shadow first. We do not see Shadow first as often as, say, Gemini first. So we'll be seeing Kyle here, setting up for the music despawn. As Edo here coming into Magnet Man stage, Kyle's first stage. Kyle getting the music despawn, very nicely done by him. The setup he does is not 100% consistent, but it is very, very consistent. The only 100% consistent setup is the right side slide twice from the right side wall, and you get the despawn. Of course, that does take more time than just setting up that specific pixel that Kyle did. But I'm not sure on the percentages, actually, but I believe it is high 80s or low 90% that setup is consistent for. So here we see Edo coming into the Magnet Man fight as Kyle attempts to get some good wood here. Hopefully going to get a nice Woodman fight. You take quite the number of hits here. It's 2, but the 2 hits are very, very beefy hits. As you can see, Kyle getting low on health, but getting a nice fight there. Gonna be able to get the big health drop coming here. Also switching to Magnet, so the next Parasuit screen that Kyle's coming in is extremely scary. I was gonna say extremely scary, then he got a big ammo drop. since he has enough ammo now to go through the screen, it's pretty easy, but usually if you don't get an ammo drop there, the last two enemies you're not going to be able to kill, or the last enemy you're not able to kill. So you kind of had to take a damage boost off of it. But Kyle getting through, luckily with the big ammo drop. Again, like with the first iteration of Shadow Man stage, it was very scary if you get hit by a parachute and you could fall into one of the pits. But Kyle making it through and going into this Heatman fight, it did not look like he got any double hits in, which you can do in that boss fight, but a very clean fight nonetheless. As he makes it into Doc Gemini now. Edobean getting some not the bees there on the first screen of Hardman. But we'll see how she does coming up here. Meanwhile, Kyle having a rat chase after him in the first screen of Doc Gemini. So that was kind of scary. But making it through the first half of the screen, the second half of the screen is a little bit easier, allowing you to use Magnet in that screen. Makes it a lot easier with its curved attack to get all of the enemies that are above and below you. So there is a lag reduction strat in this screen, and we'll see if Kyle goes for it. Looks like Kyle going for the standard bottom route there at the end of this screen. It's a newly developed strat a couple weeks ago, maybe even a week ago, that saves a sliver of time. So Kyle getting a nice fight here. Looks like not killing Flashman on the right side of the screen, but pretty quick from him. Edo, meanwhile, coming through this Proto Man fight. Again, this Proto Man fight is a lot harder than the Magnet fight and the Shadow fight for Proto Man. And not just because this is in Hardman stage, of course. Kyle going for Rush Shred strats in the Spike Room of Doc Gemini. That screen you can do a little bit faster if you use Shadow Blade. But Kyle opting to be extremely safe, wanting to get a good time coming into the bracket stage of this tournament. So as we're wrapping up these groups, Edo taking a death here in Hardman. But luckily, looks like she has 7 magnets, which is the number you need on her last life, so she is going to have to be a little bit careful here. But Kyle wanting to make sure that he's got a solid average time as he gets into the bracket stage of the tournament so that he gets matched up as best as possible, pretty much. So Kyle being very safe, getting a nice kill there on Bubble Man as he goes into Spark. This stage, people say it's pretty easy, relatively, compared to the rest of the Doc stages. But Kyle, having spent up to 7 hours in this screen earlier this week on the one-hit KO version, it was a ROM hack of Mega Man 3, where you take one hit and you die. Kyle spent quite the amount of time in Doc Quick's part of this stage. A very difficult boss fight. Take a lot of body damage. Edo, meanwhile, going through the first screen of Snake Man, having a little bit of trouble on the last enemy, but making it through. And so here we see some nice magnet usage from Kyle. Mr. Sweet in chat saying Quick is totally free. Took him around 2 hours to make it through that stage. But faster than the 7+ hours of Kyle. I'm not sure if Kyle actually finished the stage or not yet. I believe he's going to be going back to it at some point. taking a few hits here coming into the boss fight, so Kyle definitely not wanting to take those hits coming into this boss fight, but at least having enough Magnet Beam to get through the second set of blocks there to reduce lag. Again, this game is a very laggy game, so you want to reduce lag wherever you can. So now Kyle taking a couple hits here. Since he spent 7 hours trying not to get hit at all, it looks like some of that practice has paid off as he just takes a couple hits here, gets the kill very quickly, and goes into his last dock stage. Now, Needle, another very difficult stage with Doc Air being a very scary boss that deals a bunch of damage, has a random pattern of air attacks that he can do. Edo being very careful here, switching to Shadow Blade. Typically you'll see people stay on Rush Jet, but to kill these enemies it's pretty easy to kill them with a different Robot Master weapon. Meanwhile, Kyle here using Rush Jet to go very quickly up through and damage boosting through the Needle enemy. Sometimes we'll see people drop a Rush Coil and then just mash through the enemy there to kill it, and then switch into Spark, but it looks like Kyle opting to switch to Spark first. And so here we see Kyle going through Airman, taking a few hits here. As you can see, the shots from Doc Air do quite the amount of damage. So hopefully he doesn't have any issues coming into this next screen. This screen, a very laggy screen. As Edo coming through the snake fight here. Just 2 more shots on Snake Man. It looks like she's going for the middle kill. Gets the kill on the middle platform. Nicely done. Here we see Kyle coming up into the first big met. Be seeing him switch to Snake here. We're gonna be seeing him switch to Shadow here. I was wrong. This is actually interesting. I think this is a strat that we just see Kyle do. It's pretty consistent, since if you mess up the snake fights here, you have to switch to Shadow Blade anyways, and this last enemy takes 3 shadow hits instead of 6 snakes. So, really nicely done by Kyle there. And now switching to Hard Knuckle for this fight. Clash Man is pretty easy fight in this game, as he is in Mega Man 2. Having 1 stray hard weapon there in the fight, but making it through. Meanwhile, Kyle coming into Breakman, where he does not have a split, fortunately. As Edo coming into her final of the 8 robots. Shoutouts to IBN Computing. And now there is some fear for Kyle coming into the Wily stages. So the first race we saw from Kyle Precise against Jaspix, we saw a soft lock. Edo here taking it very carefully across the end of Spark stage here, but carefully is kind of scary. Waiting for these enemies to form. If we see people not go for the fast strats on that screen, we usually see them go to Rush Jet. And Rush Jet is actually pretty fast compared to stopping and waiting for those enemies. Meanwhile, Edo getting a pretty good pattern here in Spark. Not getting up to the middle platform, but getting the kill there. As Kyle's going to be preserving his magnets here. Again, in the Wily stages, this is where you don't gain back energy after each stage, so you want to make sure that you have 7 magnets for Hardman in the refights coming up. So now that Edo's done with Spark, going to be going into the Doc stages, going into the popular choice of Doc Gemini first. Kyle getting a bad pattern here for the Kamagoro fight, but getting the kill. Nicely done by Kyle. Edo now coming through the scariest screen in this game. So we usually see people go from Buster to Magnet on the beginning of the screen, and unfortunately Edo taking a death there after switching to Buster. And a game over, not that bad of a game over actually, since it is the first screen, but it is a very long first screen. Meanwhile, Kyle coming into the Yellow Devil fight. We'll see if Kyle's able to get the quick kill here, the easy devil, so to speak. So, gonna be setting up for the kill here. Edo now switching back to Buster again, out of Magnet. Gonna be taking it easy over these large pit sections. Kyle, good setup right here. We'll see how his first jump is. First jump's good, second jump is good. It's very difficult to be in the right position, but luckily there is a setup for you to do it. Kyle, nicely done there, getting the quick kill. Now coming into Rush Coil the stage. Now this screen is very scary. We've seen a lot of runners have difficulty here, but Kyle making it through the KLM room, so that which the other Kyle could not do. kyleprecise gets through it. Edo here looking to create some tadpoles so that she doesn't have to mash through. Also going for the lag reduction strat. I love it. So it is a very difficult strat because you do have to jump up onto the top set there. Looks like Edo here a little bit low on needle, but should be fine. Getting through this Flashman fight, it only takes 7 needles. Kyle with a nice top kill here. And Edo nicely done, getting through the fight. And interesting to note, so you might see in some other races that Flashman flashes you for a lot longer than what we saw in Edo's fight. And that's because some people play on the Mega Man 3 version, which does actually have variable fight lengths due to freezing you for a different amount of time, and also instead of shooting one bullet at you, shoots many bullets at you, which makes it a lot harder to handle. So meanwhile here, Kyle coming into the refights. On pretty good pace right now, actually. Does not look like PB pace, but definitely a very solid pace for the tournament. Going to be bringing his tournament average down. So long as no soft locks happen. So here we see Edo coming into the Bubble Man fight. Bubble Man fight, pretty safe fight. It looks like Edo can take a couple hits here, since unlike Quick Man, Bubble Man does not deal a ton of damage. Might see an E-Tank for safety here, and it looks like we do. Want to make sure that she's able to get through here. Kyle with a nice hardman kill. Now one potential area for soft lock for Kyle. We saw this in his race versus Jaspix. Getting into the Deduga laser right off the bat, not a good sign. Getting the bank shot finally from it. As we can see here, Kyle making sure that he just dies so that he does not get soft locked here. Very, very concerned. He does not want to pause at all in that screen. He told me this actually after his soft lock happened. He was like, if anything ever happens again like that, he's just going to die. So instead of using an E-tank and basically risking soft lock, he just dies and makes sure that he can get through that no matter what. Because I believe he lost 10 or 12 minutes from that soft lock because he had to go through all the Wily stages again. So definitely not wanting that to happen again. So Kyle now making his way through the final couple of refights. Edo and Shadow stage. Using Rush Jet across the pit section is a very safe option. We see a lot of runners do that. Being able to make it through that section without having to basically take the risk of falling into the pits. Edo with the benefit of now coming into this fight with full health. I mean, we typically see people coming with full health. Staying on the left side of the screen is a very safe way to do this fight. Mashing through here. Unfortunately, not getting the Woodman 2 face to the left the whole time, but getting a really nice jump. Speaking of really nice jumps, Kyle, not getting the nicest of jumps, getting the 0 hit, it looks like, because he had 2 lag snakes and then he threw a snake that did not hit, since you can only have 3 snakes on screen. So Kyle having to resort to Rush Jet here. Mashing down Wily Machine. Jaspix in chat saying no Spark Jet. Spark Jet, a very fast option to go through the screen. Not as fast as the snake kill, but if you do it from the start of the fight, then it is pretty quick. It only loses 5 seconds or so to the snake quick kill. Edo here using Shadow Blade to make it through this last section as Kyle is about to finish up his race in the Gamma fight. Kyle going to be using the top energy kill here, as opposed to spinning in with top. Edo kind of low health here in the Heatman fight. I'm not sure if she has any E-tanks. It looks like she does have 2, so I'm going to be wanting to use those. Unless, I guess, she wants to take the death, and she wants to use those E-tanks for the later dock stages. Someone call the speed police because Kyle has gone way too fast, finishing the race with a 38.04. 38.05 on his race splits. And actually, that is a race improvement. Not a PB, but has improved his SRL MM3 time by 15 seconds. So congratulations to Kyle. It's a very solid race time. 38.04. That cements his first place position in this group. Group I. And unfortunately this does spell defeat for Edo, but Edo still possibility of getting a pretty good time here. I believe her PB was around an hour. I think she has now closed the gap. Not entirely sure. Let's find out. Yeah, she's got an hour 57 PB, so PB is still within reach. So we'll see if she's able to get that PB. So I guess Kyle, very nicely done here. As Edo coming through a very scary screen here. we see her switching to Rush Jet, so there's a 1-up in this screen as well as an E-Tank in the next screen that you can get if you use Rush Jet. So gonna be taking both of those. Now having 3 E-Tanks, I believe, yeah. So 3 E-Tanks, gonna be pretty safe here. Using Gemini to kill the Needle enemy. And then switching to Spark here. This is really the one usage of Spark that you see throughout the entire run. If you go, say, Gemini first route, you might see more Spark usage. Edo getting a little zip there that happens if you get hit by the close one. And as you can see, as I was saying earlier, this fight just deals a ton of damage. But Edo making it through, maybe wanting to contemplate the use of an E-Tank prior to going through this screen. This screen, you see a lot of players take a couple hits from the dragonflies because it's really difficult to be able to despawn them and make sure that you don't jump high enough or jump too high that you get hit by Parasue on the bottom of the screen. Just an interesting property of Mega Man 3. That's you actually saw that there, getting hit by the dragonfly that was on the bottom of the screen. As you see Edo lowering her Rush Jet just ever so slightly. And unfortunately taking a death there. Again, a very scary screen when you come in with low health from the airman fight. So now Edo with full health. Gonna be pretty comfortable making it through the rest of this screen. And probably the rest of the stage as well. The big Met's very easy to get past with high amounts of health. It is definitely scary when you have a lower amount of health. Those big Mets deal so much damage. Missing with some snakes, so we'll see if she switches to Shadow Blade here. Looking like she's switching to Rush Jet. Rush Jet also able to shoot the hitbox of the Big Met. Shooting a snake to get rid of these small Mets. Make sure they don't follow her. It's like Edo getting some Rush Jet energy. Probably going to be opting for Rush Jet again for the second Big Met. We'll see. It's a nice snake kill there. A little bit far away from this enemy. You want to be up close to the wall. Since the lag snakes cause so much lag, you don't want to have it so far away that it lags up the screen, because you can kill that enemy with 6 snakes close enough. But now Edo coming into the clash fight. Really nice clash fight, it looks like. Cleaner than Kyle's. Kyle had a missed hard knuckle there. So nicely done by Edo. Now coming into the final dock stage here. Kyle, I'll show you cleaning. Okay, Kyle. If you want to help me commentate at the end of this match, feel free. Edo doing a really nice job here in the first... This is not the first screen of Spark, but essentially the first screen, since the actual first 2 screens really don't have much content in them. And so these spring enemies take 2 Gemini lasers to kill. Very nicely done, as we'll be seeing her switch to Magnet here for this fight. Metal Man fight relatively trivial with Magnet, since the magnets track where Metal Man is. And now the last section of Spark, Doc Spark. Very scary. This spike drop is right before the checkpoint. You had to get through all of this before you get to the checkpoint, which is here. Edo doing a very nice job with that. Despawning these electrodes. Despawning these reduces a lot of lag on this screen since you see so many enemies going through all of this. Also reducing lag by killing some of these other enemies here. Also probably just wanting to maintain a little bit of her health coming into the fight. She might have to use an E-Tank here still. We'll see if she kills the second lag block here. Looks like she does get through. Now coming into the Doc Quick fight. The bane of any one-hit KO runner's existence, for sure. Looks like Edo's opting to use Search Snake here. There is the option to use Gemini Laser as well. And it looks like Edo's going to be using E-Tanks here. This Doc stage you can feel pretty comfortable with using as many E-Tanks as you'd like, because the Wily stages are fairly generous with E-Tanks, since Wily 1 gives you 1, Wily 2 gives you 2 E-Tanks. And Edo, with a nice fight there, having to use the 1 E-Tank. Now coming into Wily 1 after this Breakman non-split. Actually don't know if she has a Breakman split. It does look like she has a Breakman split. So breaking at 46.59. Looks like a gold split actually, so really nicely done by Edo. Her sum of best now is a 49.28, so really good sum of best coming from Edo here. So Edo can definitely still sub-hour, for sure. IBM Computing. So yes, so the beginning parts of Wily 1, we've seen Edo in her previous races actually kill the top enemies here, and so one reason to do that is to make sure that you have enough health coming into the Kamagoro fight, because you definitely don't want to take a bunch of hits and then end up dying and soft locking like some of us, like I did in a race. But Edo being able to mash through all that, there is a very scary strategy that you can do on this underwater screen that we have seen some runners do and some runners opt not to do, is take damage boost from the penguins and then slide across the spikes. And yes, sliding across the spikes is as scary as you can imagine it being, but if you are in iframes, you are fine to slide across them. Edo taking it very carefully against this first Hammer Joe. And actually using 2 magnets on the last Hammer Joe there. So Edo going to have to pick up probably an ammo refill in Wily 2 if she wants to get the hard man kill with Magnet. We'll see as she goes into the next stage. Now switching to top here for Kamagoro, for the Kamagoro Maker. So this pattern is pretty clear which direction they come each time, but the way it moves across the top is essentially random. It lets go of the turtles left, right, left, right, but it can go horizontally, different, a variable length of time. Edo making it through that fight very nicely. And now coming into the Yellow Devil fight, lots of E-Tanks here, lots of big ammo refills that you can take, and also some pretty scary bees that appear at the beginning. So we'll see what she decides to switch to here. Kill the bees. It's like Shadow Blade is the weapon of choice. That is the typical weapon of choice that we see from a lot of runners. Killing all the bees. Almost all the bees, and now killing the final one with Shadow Blade. She switches to Rush Shot here. Gonna be opting to get these E-tanks. And then now coming into these ammo refills, looks like she's opting to get ammo refill on Rush Shot. She switches to Shadow Blade here. I'm not sure if she's learned the easy kill. Mashing it down is very difficult, and we see even experienced runners of this game miss the quote-unquote easy devil sometimes. Looks like Edo is setting it up, so we'll see. Unfortunately, doing some short jumps. I think we've seen this before from her as well. You kind of want to do those high jumps so that you're kind of next to the eyeball hitbox. But it still looks like she's probably going to be able to get a 2-cycle. If she can get her sideways shots in. Looks like the 3-cycle is going to happen here. 3-cycle not that slow, because it's really the difference between the first and second cycle that is the significant time. It was very quick going from the left to the right side of the screen. So nicely done by Edo. Going into Wily 3 here. Be switching to Rush Coil. We'll see her take on the second screen. Oof. Having a difficult time here in the KLM room. Lots of... Ooh. Okay. Making it through the second cycle of bullets that enemy shoots. So pretty solid KLM room relative to what KLM's KLM room looked like. Now killing these grenade enemies just to reduce lag. As you can see, this screen is an extremely laggy screen. And now coming through these stompers are really, really painful to go through. Might see Edo opt to use E-tank here, we'll see. Switching to Buster here, she might be switching back to either Rush Jet or Rush Coil here for the boss, since she can use the properties. So I guess I can explain that a little bit. If you can't have a bullet on screen while you pause unless you're one of the Rush adapters, and so she's going to be transferring top energy into that bullet that she shot, since it checks, you know, what your weapon is and what you have equipped, and it just happens that it's top, and top is the weakness. So getting a very nice quick kill there at the end of Wily 3 on the clones, as she now heads into the refights. And this is a very real possibility that she is going to sub 1 here, which would be a PB for her. And getting a sub 1 is no joke. Like, being new to Mega Man 3, she is very experienced in a lot of speed games. But new to Mega Man 3, and coming in for this tournament and learning it, and getting a sub 1 is no easy feat, for sure. Now, Edo coming into the first of her refights. A lot of these refights are pretty much similar to their actual robot counterparts. The differences are that you do want your kill to be on the left side of the screen so that you don't have to traverse all the way to the right side. And then there are a couple different robot masters that you use different weaknesses on. But we will see, since she used top first route, you can actually get a 2-cycle with Hard Knuckle. So we'll see if Edo manages to do that. Looks like she is probably going to end up getting a 3-cycle here. Getting a little bit frozen here. So this happens when you do not have your hard knuckle projectile on the screen and you kill a boss. So it does take a little bit of time to get that off screen. And now we'll be seeing her switch to magnet. So again, she used 2 magnets on the Hammer Joes way back in Wily 1, so does not have enough for this fight now. And so she's going to be opting to take the Buster fight here. Having 6 E-Tanks, wow, that is a lot of E-Tanks and a lot more than I thought she had. So it's going to be pretty easy to make it through the refights with that many E-Tanks, and I think that's actually probably going to be good enough for someone. It's going to be really close, for sure. Now coming through the Gemini fight, being very safe, making sure she does not have any soft lock shenanigans go on. Uh-oh. Alright, getting the bank shot here. Nicely done. Because there's a situation that happens where you end up pausing there, you will lose both Gemini Mans off the screen. I don't know how exactly it works. But getting through the Needle Man fight now. And now coming into the final 2, Robot Master is going to be using Shadow Blade on Magnet and Spark. And kind of an unfortunate pattern here. Getting the kill here. Nicely done, and then the Spark fight is relatively easy. Am I leaning away from my mic? I am so enthralled with this race, and my microphone is further away on the opposite side of my desk, but it now is not. And so Edo here coming through the end of the refights, going to be fighting Wily Machine here. I believe she opts for Spark Jet. Spark Jet, a very popular choice. Refilling on top here. You actually don't need top energy for the Gamma kill, but just wanting to make sure that she's got enough top energy if she does go for the drop-down kill. And Spark here for Wily Machine. This is a very cool strat. You shoot 4 sparks into the bottom section, and then you switch to Rush Jet, and then you just mash down Wily. It is a very cool strat, and I believe this is going to end up being faster than what Kyle did, because Kyle missed all of his snakes. So again, with mashing, you want to be very close to Wily Machine, otherwise you're causing a lot of lag on the screen, being so far away, and then you can't get your consecutive bullets out. But Edo getting a nice fight nonetheless, and if she does not mess up the Gamma fight, she's looking for a sub 1 here. And that it will actually be PB if she manages to do it. 2 minutes ahead of her splits right now as she goes into the Gamma fight. So here we see Edo getting the 7 Shadow Blades required into the first phase of Gamma. I'm going to be switching to Rush Coil here, again using the top energy strat. I'm getting around half the health on that first one. It's very difficult to get the full health bar. Switching to Snake there, it looks like. And you actually can use Snake there. Snake also has a weakness. I believe you can also transfer Snake energy. But it looks like Edo is opting for top. And time is called with a 59.05. Congratulations from Edo. Really, really nice race PB to end the matches for, or most of the matches for Group I, rather. There's 1 match left. Her matches are done. And so, congratulations to Edo for the PB. And congratulations to Kyle for his clean sweep Group I. That was a very nice race there. And now that Mega Man 3 is done. Stay tuned on Speed Gaming for another game very close to my heart. Ori and the Blind Forest. We actually have Sigma and Red Red Rum playing in the next match. And believe it or not, some guy named Ogden Drucker playing in the match right after that. So I'm going to be handing it off to our wonderful commentators for the Sigma Red match. Going to be Tara and The Roos is Loose. Stay tuned. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Feasel, for restreaming all of these wonderful matches today. Even after the Ori matches, we have more Mega Man. It's Mega Man X2, and then we also have a Final Fantasy match. I do not know how the man sleeps, but he has done a great job for all of speedrunning, and so thank you, and have a good night, everyone.